Hey guys, welcome to Sell Me a Movie, a subcategory here on the Cavalier Studios YouTube channel where what I do as a movie enthusiast provide you guys my personal opinion on a film that I may have seen out in theaters, streaming, or may have purchased out in the store. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to welcome you guys. There's many things on this channel that you can actually watch. And in the meantime, make sure that you subscribe and follow us on all social platforms. Now, I'm here to talk to you guys today about a film that I was grateful to seeing a little bit early on, and that is, of course, Angel Studios' Homestead. Now, with Homestead, it is set to release this December, so be on the lookout for that. If you're not familiar with Angel Studios, of course, that is the entertainment company that has brought us films such as The Shift, Sound of Freedom, and they do have some other films as well, like Sight is a great flick as well. Sweetwater, which is a streaming-only movie that I've reviewed here on the channel before. And let's not forget, Bonhoeffer is another film that I was able to review too. But they do have some kid stuff as well, such as Tuttle Twins and Young David too. So the link is in the description, so make sure that you follow that link to go to the website because it's a great opportunity to go ahead and sign up for Angel Studios because they provide you with top-tier entertainment, to be honest. We definitely need it as far as new stories go and different viewpoints as well. I do know that Bonhoeffer is a film that, I saw and I didn't know anything about him because I wasn't taught about it in school. So this studio company brings you more films that you may not be aware of, specifically true stories. So with that in mind, sit back, relax, and let's go over the film Homestead.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
So based on a book series, Black Autumn by Jeff Kirkman, Angel Studios went ahead and made Homestead. Now, it is going to be a series as well for the application or the website, so that's why I'm also letting you guys know, just in case if, you really like this film, by all means, I'm excited for the series that's going to be streaming as well. So, like I said, it's based on a book series called Black Autumn by Jeff Kirkman. Now, the director is Ben Smallbone. The writers are Philip Abraham, Leah Bateman, who those two individuals have played in TV series, streaming TV series. Then you do have Ben Kasika. Now, this film does a very good job to get you introduced to three centralized families. You have the Rosses, you have the Ericksons, and then, of course, you do have the McNultys. Now, the Rosses are a family who has a big mansion in like the Nevada, Utah mountains area, and it is Ian Ross, Jenna Ross, and Claire Ross. Now, the actors and actresses who play those roles, you'll know him. His name is Neil McDonough, who plays Ian Ross. Then for Jenna Ross, you have Dawn Olivieri. And then Claire Ross, you have Olivia Senabia, who her character is actually homeschooled. And it kind of sets that family up to the point where Claire wants to go to prom. The mom, Jenna, is trying to figure out how she's going to go to prom. So that's kind of like, that's how you get introduced to them. The McNultys, on the other hand, you do have Evie McNulty, who is played by Susan Meisner. You do have Molly McNulty, who is played by Grace Powell. And then, of course, you have the Theo McNulty, who's played by Caden Dragomore. Then their dad, it's very much, their dad is a sub-character that's not really in the picture for the movie for that long. It was in the very beginning and close to the very end is when you see the dad again. But ultimately, what this film sets up is they're in LA, the McNultys are, and their father is a businessman. Basically, he's up in a business office, and you see these two terrorists who, you don't exactly know where they're from, only that they're speaking a different language, and I would honestly say maybe somewhere in South America. They're driving a boat close to LA. So you have all these National Guardsmen come up because they think that because they're trespassing, essentially. And what's going to be happening is the fact that they are looking to cause havoc when they drive the boat up to LA. And you'll know this because one of the individuals out of the two goes down to the bottom of the boat and you see like these bombs. And with these bombs are holding this very, very radioactive substances. So ultimately they kind of create their own smaller version of an atomic bomb that kind of sets place all through LA. You do find out later in the film that Russia does have some ties as far as taking out the electrical grid as well on the East Coast. So it's very It's very much post-apocalyptic type film. And then, of course, you do have Jeff Erickson is another family you do get introduced to, and his wife is Tara Erickson. Now, Jeff is played by Bailey Chase. Tara Erickson's played by Kieran Giovanni. Their son Abe Erickson is played by Tyler Lofton. So they are basically a family. I forgot exactly where they're located, but basically Jeff Erickson is a I shouldn't say ex SEAL, but he was military based, and Ian kind of he hires him to set up camp in case if there's some sort of emergency, essentially a security, right? So then you have Jeff. When all this stuff goes down, they drive to Ian's place because he has a whole bunch of friends, SEALs, part of this team, and they set up base camp around Ian's home. Now, Evie and her family, Evie McNulty, the ones that are in LA, basically gets a call from their dad or her husband saying that they need to get out of LA, avoid traffic by going to the major roads and stuff. So they're now traveling to Ian's place. Again, his place is in like the Utah and Nevada mountains area. So he has a lot of land and it's a huge mountainous region. And what this film does is, in my opinion, does a lot better than Leave the World Behind, because Leave the World Behind, you don't really there's no time to really fall in love with those characters, where this film, you have time to get to know these characters a lot more, and you kind of am curious because of the fact that their personalities are completely different. Of course, you have Evie McNulty and Jenna Ross, who are, sisters in the film, that they do describe that they are sisters. So obviously that connection is there. But when it comes to Ian Ross, and then when it comes to Jeff Erickson, their heads butt all the time. So you see the contrast between the two characters themselves and how they're going to navigate and basically survive during this post-apocalyptic event. And it's very reminiscent if you are a survivalist. There are a lot of things in here that you can relate to as far as Ian and basically setting everything up when it comes to canned goods, wheat. He has a certain percentage of, weight of food to essentially survive as long as they can, and how can they survive after that. And that film itself kind of shows you exactly what real life world event could happen and what you would essentially need to do to survive. Yes, not everybody has the ability to hire a SEAL team to be their security guards, but in a way, this film does keep you on edge because you never know exactly what's going to happen. And unlike where other films, kind of dip down, this film is only like a build up to being essentially, like I said, the series. And it leaves you to the point of wanting more, which is a very good thing, only because of the fact that it tells you that there's a series, and it draws you to, okay, I want to watch that, which, of course, photos and everything are on the website that you can take a look at behind the scenes for the series. So whether or not if the series and the movie matches up are two different things, but regardless, though, the cinematography is great. The music and the action is great because the film does exactly that. What it should do is draw you into the story and then lead you to potentially a new story or possibly a continuing story. The one thing that I will say that I kind of wish, as an individual who likes to do screenplay writing and editing and directing, there was one specific scene between Claire and Abe I felt was very unnecessary and made it very awkward, because you have the two families, the Ericksons and the Rosses, they get together, they meet, right? And you can tell at that moment that, of course, Abe and Claire, they have some sort of connection. Right? They have some sort of connection there, and you kind of want to explore more. Well, after that introduction, it then goes to a scene where Abe basically makes a fool of himself, like, hey, my name is Abe. Hi, my name's Claire. And then there's this awkward scene there, but they've already been kind of introduced. So I felt like that sequence wasn't really needed there. If it was me personally, what I would have done is I would have completely taken out that, only because of the fact that you see the progression go from, people who are being introduced to one another to friendship that actually blossoms into something much better. And by taking that sequence out, you fall in love with the characters a little bit more. I feel like that whole awkward sequence, it wasn't really needed, because for me, the build up for that relationship was perfect. Now, the other thing that's, you know, was kind of wish it could have been cut out a little bit more. And again, this is based on a book, so it's not like the movie is bad, because it's not. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. Now, there's probably a lot more in the book in terms of Evie. Evie's side. And now she's the family that comes from LA, and that's only because of the fact that when it comes to the husband, I didn't really think he was needed, and when it comes to Evie, I didn't really think that her family and her character was needed as well in the film, only because when you're watching this, the two that you are most invested in is, of course, Jeff Erickson and Ian Ross. So you kind of want to see those two basically formulate and how they're going to survive. It felt like Evie and her family was just kind of thrown in there in a way. Now I get why they're there. Honestly, I do, because of the fact that this movie plays on your heartstrings a lot, especially when it comes to kids, and it's done very beautifully because it makes you actually fear something that, you know, a lot of post-apocalyptic movies may not do. This film touches you in a way that, in an emotional way, where you don't really get that often. So I understand why Evie and her family is there. But on the other side of things, you do get introduced to one of Ian's friends, who he doesn't bring into the homestead at all. Instead, he goes on the other side of the gate. Now, the way that character is introduced, him and his family are running on scraps, basically, in the house. And they notice that their neighbors are getting broken into, there are people with guns and stuff, so they just bolt it to Ian's homestead. So you feel for that family, and you feel for that family as they're outside of the gate. So even though Jenna and Evie, their connection is there, and you have an understanding of why they're there, I feel that there was a lot more pull strings pulled and more heart out to that friend, to Ian's friend and his family, who was on the opposite side of that gate. The other thing that Angel Studios does very well too is it provides you the message of God, in the sense of, you have characters praying, you have scriptures and stuff like that. So that is thrown in there too, which, you know, it fits wonderfully with the character developments, which beautifully done. You know, it's not, doesn't feel out of place. If you guys do end up seeing it, please leave a comment down below. Again, I want to thank Angel Studios for providing me the opportunity to go see this film ahead of time and be able to provide you guys my personal opinions as a movie enthusiast. And with that in mind, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So check out all of our social platforms, and I'll see you guys next time for the next review.